Can you hear me now? I hope you can hear me now, because I thought I was just going through. I do apologize, you guys. I thought I had turned my audio on. So again, just going through some of the products that we're going to need for tonight. So you're going to need a tool to add color. So you can, again, use blending brushes. You can use sponges, sponge daubers, brushes, anything that you can use, or even straight ink to ink pad to cardstock or paper. We are definitely going to need some Versamark ink, or any brand that you may have, but I use Versamark for my ink. We are going to use an embossing buddy. We're going to need one of those. We are going to need some embossing powder. Now, I'm going to use clear embossing powder for my project. That's what I've seen in the video, using clear embossing powder. And then, what else are we going to need? We are going to need some paper towels, okay? So on that note, let's kind of get started here, and let's get to playing and see what it is and how it is we're going to create this card, or this technique. So I'm going to work with this pattern first. Now, I'm going to give you guys the option. Tell me. Let me put that out of the way. Do you prefer, and I don't know where I'm going, so I will let you guys decide. Do we prefer this side print or this print? And I'm going to use, this was the stamp set that I kind of decided I was going to use to create this pattern. So I think maybe this side, but I'm going to let you guys tell me which direction we want to go. And Yvonne, since it's just you right now, I'm going to let you tell me which direction we're going to go. So the question on the table right now is this print or this print? And and I'm thinking for this one, we want to have a little bit more white space. So I would think that we want to use this side. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going to work with the entire piece of cardstock rather than trimming it down. I think that'll work. Okay. So as always, when we're working with embossing powders, we want to make sure we take our embossing buddy. Yvonne, I'm waiting. I think we're going to go with this side, okay? So I think we always want to use our embossing buddy, and what we're going to do is just kind of rub it all over the card, the front. And what this is just removes a lot of the inks, or I'm sorry, any excess oils that may be on your hands or your fingers, that the embossing powder, when you put it on there, has the option that can stick in places that you don't want it to stick to. Now, we're going to work on this entire panel so that at the end of the day, we should be able to make maybe 2 or 3 cards, depending on how we cut the cardstock. Now, this part, you guys are not going to be able to see very well, and I'll tell you why. Now, embossing ink, for those of you that don't know, is it's kind of like that's fine. Okay, Yvonne. Embossing ink is it's very clear. You won't be able to see it. It's like a slow drying, kind of like a tacky glue, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so all we're going to do is we're just going to stamp randomly. And the thing about this is we won't be able to see where we're stamping, at least not to begin with. Okay? So if I continue to pick this up, you'll see that I'm just really trying to make sure that I don't stamp over what I've already done. So to kind of help that, I'm kind of going to try to go in a little bit of a pattern. And we're just going to randomly place our image. And we hope at this point that we're getting good coverage. I'm going to pick it up so I can try to see if I can see where I've got ink. And I can't see a darn thing. But I can tell you, if you look at it, you'll see where the cardstock looks a little bit brighter because it seems tacky. So you can see just a little bit where there is some adhesive, okay? Some glue or ink. We may not use the whole card just because we can't really see. I can't really see. So we're going to stop there. And then I'm just going to grab so again tonight, you guys, we are working with a technique called the emerging color technique. I hope this is working, y'all, because I literally cannot see anything at all. But we'll find out when the color emerges, which is why it's called the emerging color technique. All right, I think we're good. I think when we pull out the other cardstock, the one that has a little bit more white space, we'll be able to see a little bit more clearly. And so this is another reason why I don't really use my quote-unquote good and current designer series paper, because I want to be able to, like, if I'm making a mistake right now, and when I say mistake, meaning I'm not getting it quite right or it's not inked properly, I don't really feel as if I'm wasting my paper. And I'm a hoarder as far as my Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper is concerned. So I'm like, I can't waste it! Alright. I think we'll definitely be able to see it a lot clearer when we break out the other designer series paper. Alright, so let's go ahead and heat emboss and see what we've got going on. Everybody have a good day today? Oh yeah, I can see it a little bit. I can definitely see it a little bit. So as the powder is melting, the image, you can't see it very well because it is clear. And I did use clear embossing powder. So at the end of learning this, we're going to find out any tips to using this technique. Oh, weather is warmer. Okay. Oh yeah, I can see where we have some of the image is good. Oh yeah, this is gonna be pretty, I think. I love when I can see what's happening. I'm just making sure that all of the powder has been melted on. Alright, I think we're good to go here. Let that sit for a second. Now I was going to use Misty Moonlight, but I'm thinking I might want to play with a different shade of blue. Looking at this cardstock, do you guys have any kind of recommendations that you would go, like blue wise? I think, oh no, that's too bright. Maybe we stick with Misty Moonlight. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we stick with Misty Moonlight. And then just start with a light hand when we're playing with Misty Moonlight. Okay, I'm going to go start with Boho Blue. That's a color I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with that one. And then if I don't like it, then we'll just adjust from there. Now, I know. Here we go. I'm going to start from here. Oh, there it is, right there. Okay, so I think we're going to have to definitely go darker. Do you see the print here now? Okay, so you definitely have to go a little bit darker, because that's where that color was. That's when the embossed side was revealed. I think I see a little bit here. There's another one right there. You see it? Now, if you're like me, you kind of have to try to remember where you put the color or the embossed. So one tip that I would tell you for using this technique is, here you go, see how that's right there? Definitely have, what I would do with this technique is to kind of know what size, say I wanted to do something that was 3 3/4 by 5, I would pre-cut using a 6 by 6, and because it was using embossing Versamark, I couldn't really see where I had placed my images, so I'm kind of hunting for them now. So I think tip number 1 for using this technique is to make sure that if you have a general idea of what your panel is going to be like, that way you kind of limit yourself into the space that you're going to be creating it, if that makes any sense. Okay? So that's generally the technique. It is, like I said, it looks like a heat emboss, an emboss resist. Only I've never really done this technique on designer series paper. But I do like it. So you see that the color is emerging from behind where we embossed, right? I think we'll see it more when we create directly from. Look at that. Isn't that cute? So what you see is that image that didn't have any color, the print from the designer series paper is what's going to be the background for our design. Okay? So all we're doing with this, with the paper towel, is removing some of the color from the embossed piece. Now I want to redo this, and I want to redo it on the other one. That way you can see a little bit more clear. And I'm going to do that tip that I told you about. But here you go. So we would just cut this down, and I would cut this to maybe like a 2 3/4 panel. Mat it with the, and lay it down. And I'm going to try to make that card for you. So here's what we're going to work on. Let me make sure my hands are clean here, because I'm going to try the other one on here. And I am going to trim it down because I think that was part of my problem with the first. Okay. Hey, I'm learning this technique same as you. So I'm learning as I go along. That way the next time I do a card using this technique, I will have so much more of a better understanding as to how to utilize this technique. Right now I'm learning how to use it, and I wanted us to learn together. I might go back in and do something with that, but hey. So I think for this card, I'm gonna work with the Celebrate Sunflowers. I think this will definitely give me a little bit more to work with. So give me 1 second, and I'm gonna trim it down. And because this is 6 by 6, I'm just going to trim it down to a 3 by 6 panel. So again, when you see this, based on the tips that I was just telling you about, it's easier for me because I don't have much more I don't have too much real estate that I have to work with in trying to cover. So I'm pretty much going to have a very, very good understanding as to where my Versamarked image is. Oh, do we want to work with a big flower? Do we want to? I want to work with a big, big one. Let's work with a big, big one. All right. Alright, we're going to emboss this, use our embossing buddy, and make sure that we get as much of this oils off as possible. Nails are perfect for this, okay? Okay. And then I'm going to make sure when you have a big image like this, it's better, in my opinion, to take ink to stamp rather than stamp to ink. This way I can definitely see what has ink if I need to add more. I just have a better grasp of what I'm doing if I'm adding ink to it rather than taking the stamped image to. I think we're good here. Okay. I'm gonna go like so. I'm gonna take my little Chucky tool here. I'm gonna press this to make sure I have good transfer of Versamark. There we go, that's one. Oh yeah, this is gonna work well. I can already see it there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get 3 images on here. All right, and I can see that my image comes about here, so I'm gonna bring this guy about here. And then I'm gonna add one more. Yep, right in that corner. So definitely that tip that we shared about maybe cutting down the real estate as far as the amount of cardstock or designer series paper that you are adding ink to, definitely definitely a good tip in using this technique. Okay. Okay. And we're going to bring in our embossing powder again. With our spoon. And I'm just going to add embossing powder. Oh yeah, I can definitely see it a lot clearer. I had a better understanding as to where I put my image, and I'm going to share with you how you can see that, right? Hopefully you can see it. Alright, so even though it's clear, right? Can you see already with the powder where you have your image? And it's just because I made the paper a little bit smaller, so I had a much better understanding of where I placed my images. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to go ahead and heat emboss this. And as the embossing powder melts, you'll see that it gets a little bit shiny. That's how you'll know when your embossing powder is completely melted. Oh yeah, I can definitely see my images here. Alright, so tip number 2 with this technique is to make sure that whatever card designer pattern paper that you're going to use, it has to be it doesn't have to be white, but it has to have enough white space so that you can see what's going on. Okay, that's my ideal, my tip with this technique as well. So any colors like maybe the pool party, anything that has a pool party in it, the lemon lolly, those types of colors, what's that thing called? Petal pink. Those types of colors as backgrounds will definitely work in enhancing this project, okay? Alright, so now I think I'm gonna use, oh my gosh, ooh, what color ink do I want to use? Crushed curry? Let's go with, no, because this seems to be Calypso Coral, so we don't want to use Calypso Coral because we want this color to shine through. Ooh, I wonder if it'll shine through Copper Clay. I'm wondering if might be a little too dark. Okay, so the other hard part will be in deciding what colors you're kind of wanting to bring out here. So I like the mint green or the soft sea foam. It's back here. Flirty Flamingo? Yo, I might have to go Cajun Craze, okay? Let's try that. Hey, we're playing tonight. So let's see if we can tell you if we have any tips about colors. So I'm going to go with the Cajun Craze, and I'm going to start small. That way, if I don't like it, I can stop. And all we're wanting to do is to add color over the embossed image, okay? All right, can you see it starting to pop through there? Oh yeah, I can see it. So that was Cajun Craze. Gonna go darker. Go with the Copper Clay on this one. Oh yeah. So when you're going to try to bring out the image, a darker color ink works better. So here's where we use the Cajun Craze, and you see it kind of blends in a little bit. But when we use the Copper Clay, look at how much this image pops. Do you see the difference? Yeah. So tip number 2 for using this technique, the darker color for blending, a darker color ink will work much better on this project. Oh yeah, look at that. I don't want to get ink everywhere. Okay, and then just like last time, We're just going to go in with a piece of paper towel. And look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is gorgeous. All right, so again, with this technique, two things. Cut your cardstock down, or your designer series paper, your pattern paper, down to a manageable size that you think you might want to use for your project, okay? This right here was a piece of 3 by 6. This is when I tried to stamp on a 6 by 6. Being that the Versamark was clear, I really didn't have any idea where I put my image, and I was guessing. I might go back in with this one and use maybe Night of Navy to see if I can make the images pop a little bit more. Not sure, we'll see. And then the other thing, the other tip for tonight is make sure, sorry I'm shaking, is make sure that the ink that you're using to bring out your color, you use a very dark ink, a darker ink than maybe what you think you should. Because as you can see, as we're resisting, it's popping this sunflower. Look at this, isn't this gorgeous? And what you can see in the back is like a reflection of the designer series paper that you used. There you go, you guys. Look at this. This is going to make a very pretty card, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that, because I am going to do something with that. Alright, so we're going to put these away. And then the next we're going to do is we're going to work with, I'm going to grab me a piece of, just a regular piece of cardstock. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I am going to cut this down. You like it, right? Now that I got it right, we have an idea as to how this works. So that's awesome. All right, let me put this away so I can get things out of my way. So the other things that you need to think about as far as with your stamps when you're selecting some stamps to work with this technique is whatever image you're going to use, it has to be detailed, but it also has to have a little bit of openness, and you need that openness so that the print can show through where it's open. So that's a tip for you. Have a little detail in it, but also make sure you have open spaces so that your designer series paper can pop through. Can you still see the leaves in the back? That's the tip for you as far as choosing stamped images in this process. Okay? All right. Now, for this next one, we are going to use, I'm going to use Hello Irresistible and Inked and Tiled. Okay? So, in essence, with this process, I'm going to create my own designer series paper, right? So, I'm going to use, what color card do I want to make? Oh, you know what's going to, let's go with a little bit of, All right, Old Olive, Garden Green. Where do we want to go with this one, Yvonne? Old Olive or Garden Green? And this is going to be for, I think I'm going to go with this leafy image right here. Or I might do a mix of both. I'm not sure. But I'm probably going to use the leafy image. So Old Olive or Garden Green? And this is what I was talking about your images. Do you see that there's little detail in there? But when I stamp this on cardstock, there's enough open spaces so whatever we stamp is going to be able to pop through the image. All right. Old olive or garden green. I don't know where I'm going with it, but hey, if you have another green, let me know and I might pull that one too. No, I don't want a shade spruce. So it's either garden green or old olive. Old olive, okay. Old olive it is. Now again, when I random stamp, I tend to turn my paper, not so much the stamp. I tend to turn the paper instead. And kind of just fit things in. In this case, I'm going to turn this because it makes more sense to me that way. Okay, I think I want to leave some white space. Remember, that's the tip that we went. And now I'm going to let that dry for just a second while I clean this up. All right, so while we're doing that, start thinking a little bit about what we want to do with this panel right here. Kind of have an idea, but okay. All right, we still want to do our embossing buddy. I think I'm going to go with the bigger flower. The bigger flower or the smaller? I think the bigger flower is where we're going to go. Tip number 3 for this project is making sure you have very good coverage of your with your Versamark. Okay, you gotta have your image has to be very well inked so that there is excellent transfer of the image. One, let it sit longer. Add a little bit more pressure, whatever it takes to make sure you have good transfer of that Versamark. Okay. Now for me, I find that it's easier for me to see on white cardstock where I've stamped with Versamark. So I can do a little bit of a bigger real estate with cardstock on basic white cardstock. I can see it a little bit better. A lot better, actually. I don't know, can you see? You can't see it, but I can. So we're going to go here. And then when you're stamping your image, you want to make sure some of it is off the cardstock as well. Okay. Tomorrow is nail day. I'm changing my nail color. My New Year's Day nails are is gone, the end of the month, so it's time for new nail colors. I'm excited. I'm not quite sure where I'm gonna go yet as far as color is concerned. But I'm excited. I love playing with my nails, my nail color. I have a lot of fun with it. I just think it's cute. Ooh. All right, now start thinking about where we're gonna go with color for our blending here. Okay, I see where we are. So I think I got a little room here and a little room over there. Now the beauty about this set is that I don't have to just continue to use just the bigger image. I really honestly and truly could continue to play with the smaller images. I could bring other things in, but I'm just gonna stick for simplicity purposes with the one ink that I have. So we used Old Olive. Where do we want to go with our blending color, Yvonne? Trying to think. I'm trying to think. Crushed curry? Nah. Okay. So now we're going to do exactly what we did before, and we're going to bring in our embossing powder. And in this instance, I'm really not too worried about spilling the embossing powder on the mat. We're just going to upend that and put it right back into the container. So I'm not worried about it at all. Hi, Linda. Oops. All right, I don't know if you guys can see. Can you see already where the embossed, let me turn this off, maybe you can see it better. Can you see it better? Where the embossed images are? Okay. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. All right, Yvonne. What color do we want to play with here? I'm still trying to think. What are we going to put on Old Olive that will make this stand out? And I don't want to make this a green card per se. What oh. It's an old color. I wonder if Mary Merlot would work. Again, a retired color, but I think it would work very well with that. Okay. All right, so if you were just joining us, oh, Cajun Craze, okay. We didn't use Cajun Craze on this one, so we can. So this is our first emerging, or second, and this one is the one that came out very well. So let's go ahead and heat emboss this. Can you see the the embossing powder start to melt? That lets you know that it's doing its job, y'all. Basic white. Linda asked what cardstock I'm using. I'm just using very basic white. Alright, I think all of our powder is melted. Linda said Cajun Craze. I think I want to go with Mary Merlot. I'm sorry, guys. Do I have any more down here? I think maybe Moody Mauve. Oh, we're going to use our in color, Moody Mauve. Moody Mauve, Moody Mauve, Mauve. I just don't know how to say that word. Let me bring this back in here. Moody Mauve is a dark color, so that'll definitely work. Okay, here we go, y'all. Here we go. Let's start off. Ooh, let's hope this works. Oh yeah, this will definitely work. This will work. This will definitely work. All right, can you see the imprint of the flower coming through? All right. Oh yeah. Y'all, this allergens or whatever it is has got me. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous already? We might go darker with the color, y'all. So let's just start light and see if we want to add more color. All right, so there were 3 tips that I gave so far if you're wanting to play with this technique, okay? The first tip, choosing your designer series paper, okay? When you're choosing your designer series paper or your printed pattern, you want to make sure that there's a lot of light in the back, okay? And then you also want to cut your real estate so that you're working with a manageable space. Okay, so this is when we started to work with a 6x6, and the second one we worked with a piece of 3x6. And it worked much better because with the Versamark, you were able to see, I was able to see a lot better where I was laying down my images. It kind of got lost a little bit, and so I wasn't able to fully make sure that I had coverage where I needed to have coverage. Okay. The second tip was in your choice of ink. Remember? And it's making sure that your ink is darker. That way the resist comes through and you're able to see what's going on. Just like we can see our image popping through right here on this cardstock. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? I love this. I love this technique. It seems like this is definitely a form of emboss resist technique. It is definitely a way to add texture. And I'm going to go over the images. I want the image to be darker. I'm going to lay down the Mary Merlot I know, isn't it gorgeous, Linda? I want this to be like the background, but then I'm going to add a lot more ink because I want it to be much darker over the image. So I'm going to go over that a little bit more to get something's going on. I feel like I've been sick for darn near a month. It started for me after we did our shoebox swap, and we always do shoebox the first Sunday of the month. So really right after shoebox, I just couldn't kick what I've been having whatever this is kick my butt. I don't feel bad except for this cough. And then we're just going to go right back in with our paper towel. Oh yeah. So Moody Mauve. So we used Old Olive for our leaf. And then we used Moody Mauve for our ink blending. Look at that. And we're only removing color from the stamped image. We're not removing it from the rest of the cardstock, just off of this stamped image. Now, I should have tried this with white embossing powder to see what it would look like. Matter of fact, I still can do that. With the white embossing powder rather than the clear. Alright guys, look at this panel. What do you think? Is this not gorgeous? You like this one the best? Alrighty. So here we have this one. So you can see our progression with this technique. This was our first effort. Wasn't very good, was it? Then we learned a couple of things. And then we moved on and we created this panel. We learned a lot from our first panel where we made mistakes. And now this is the second panel, and then this is our third, okay? Now, again, the purpose of our Techniques Tuesdays is not necessarily to create the card, but to learn the technique. Alright, so I am going to grab another piece, and you know why? Because I want to see really quickly what it's going to look like with white embossing powder. So we're going to do that. So we're going to change up our color scheme a little bit. Grab me two colors. We're going to do the leaf again. What green do we want to use for our leaf? I think I want to use purple somehow, so I want to use purple. So what color should we do our leaves? So if we use alright, I think I'm gonna try okay, we're gonna use wild wheat for our leaves. So then if we're gonna use wild wheat for our leaves, which purple do we want to use for our blending? Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather. We might be able to use Blackberry Bliss as well. Alright, here we go. Let's try this and see. And really, technically, what we're doing right now is we are creating our own designer series paper. We are creating a little bit of a one-sheet wonder going on here. All right, so we've got that. We're going to let that dry for a sec. Excuse me. I'm going to go grab my white embossing powder. I think I need to restock on that one. And then, let me clean this off while we're waiting for that to dry. All right, so which one, let's finish this one and then we'll decide which one of these panels we want to create a card with, okay? Because we got to make a card at least, y'all. At least one card we have to make tonight. All right, so that's pretty good. We're going to go in with our embossing powder. I'm sorry, our embossing buddy. Make sure we grab off any excess oils. Grab our Versamark. Gorgeous Grape. All right, Linda says Gorgeous Grape. Yvonne, do you have a choice? Do you have a recommendation? Okay. All right, let's start. I got one vote for Gorgeous Grape. No, I have not. Linda has asked if I've had to replace my embossing buddy, and I have not. And I have not replaced my embossing buddy because, one, I use a combination of my embossing buddy and my brush. So this one, I've had this for years, and I've not had to replace any of the powder in it. Same for my embossing buddy. Okay. Again, the other tip that I had for you guys is, for me, it's very easy to see where I've stamped with Versamark on basic white. So that is definitely a tip for me. So I can definitely see where I've already stamped. It's way easier for me. I find that lately my eyes aren't doing everything that they're... Oh, you're split. Oh, no. I've not had any issues with my embossing buddy. I'm going to stamp one more time. And I can see it right here. Okay, Gorgeous Grape it is, y'all. All right, so we are just testing to see if this will work or how it'll work with white embossing powder. Now, one of the videos that I watched in learning this technique, they used it with like a, I got two. I have two what? Oh, two for Gorgeous Grape. we just want to make sure that we have all of the embossed, the Versamarked color ink covered with embossing powder. It's definitely easier to see with the white. A little bit easier, anyway. Yeah, I've got it covered. All right. Alrighty. I'm going to set this aside just so I can clean this up a little bit. Okay. Just giving that ink a little bit of time to set. And then we're going to heat emboss it, and then we're going to add our, I'm excited, our gorgeous grape. Alright, let's get to heat embossing. I think we're ready to go. Do you have the embossing tool level lower? No. I use mine on the high setting. I just tend not to keep the position in one position too long so that it burns either the powder or the paper. Alright, y'all, I think we're good. I'm going to let that sit for a second. I'm going to grab my gorgeous grape. Woo! Wish us luck, y'all. I'm excited to try this one. Let me find my purple brush. All right, you guys, here we go. Oh my goodness. I never thought about that as a color combo. Wild wheat and gorgeous grape. That's a good color combo. Look at that. And again, I'm going to start light with the amount of color that I'm applying. The thing with color is, of course, you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. So I'm going to start with a light touch. And then if we see that we need to add more color, then that's what we're going to do. Look at how that's popping out there, you guys. Can you see it? So definitely a darker color when we're adding our color for blending will work on on these pieces, these processes. Now for this particular pattern, piece we worked with the white embossing powder. We wanted to see how that was going to work out. So I'm going to add a little bit of a darker around just the stamped image. Just the stamped image. Everything else around it will remain a little bit softer, but each of the stamped images will be a little bit darker. What do you guys think about this one so far? Oh, how you how you positioned it? Yes, I did see. I'm glad you were able to post it. All right, so now we're just gonna grab some of the paper towel. I'm gonna grab a new sheet. Let's see what we got, y'all. I'm excited about this. Look at that. All right, so the white works just as well. And I'm pretty sure any color embossing powder you use will work. It may just all depend upon what image you're working with, or what feel or look you're trying to go with for your card. Look at that. Doesn't that look like when we have Stampin' Up has designer series paper that is gold foiled? Doesn't it look like it's foiled? That's the word I'm looking for. Looks like it's foiled. So you see, the problem with creating these cards, these backgrounds, is now I don't want to cut it. I don't want to cut it at all. Isn't this pretty? All right, so guys, this is the emerging color technique. I liken it to an emboss resist because it seems like that's what it is to me, an emboss resist. Oh, wedding invitation. Okay. All right. So there you have it, guys. These are our 3 best products tonight. So both of these were done with clear embossing powder. We used then this one we did with the white embossing powder. I like them both. Now, which one do we want to make a quick card with? I think this one. What do you think? Let's make a quick card with this one. All right, what do I want to do with this? I'm going to do something very quick. All right. So our card base, our designer paper is 3 by 6. I really don't want to destroy this too much. So this is what I'm going to do. I think that's what I'm going to do. I might trim it down. I might have to trim it down a little bit, you guys, because I'm going to trim this guy down. And this is going to be a quick and simple card. This is going to be So this was a retired Stampin' Up designer series paper. I'm not sure what I used with this one or what the name of it was. And I used clear embossing powder and copper clay. So I think I'm going to make this, it's got to be 3. And we're going to make this 3 3¾ by 5. So let's make this 3 inches by 4¾ So this is going to be that. This needs to be 4¾ Oh, let's cut this end. 4¾ That's not what I want to do. I just messed that up. Alright, let's keep this at 3 inches. I think I still messed it up. I did. I know what I'm wanting to do, but I'm not doing it right in my head. And I'm just destroying paper. This is where I want it to be 3. Ugh. My brain wasn't working. Alright. Caron's messing up a lot tonight. So I'm going to chew just a little bit off of here. I'm going to go 2 3/4. Da 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 da. By 5. Yeah. So we're cutting our paper to 2 3/4 by 5. Although, and then we're just going to cut this to 5. We're going to make this 4 by 5. And I'm making this up as I go along, y'all. I have no direction in mind. But we're going to make this card work, okay? All right. Okay, let that dry. I'm going to find us some ribbon. All right, we need some ribbon. I change bottles when I'm here, but I do use Barely Arts glue. That's my preferred glue. right, let's see what sentiments we can find that we might want to use from the sunflower set or from any of the sets that we picked up tonight. Oh, here we go. It's a nice one right in here. In the Celebrate sunflower set, there's this beautiful sentiment that says, let's celebrate you. So we are going to use that one. Okay. If you guys can see my workspace right now, oh my gosh. Tell you, Hurricane Caron went through it with a bang. All right. I'm going to stamp our sentiment. Let's celebrate you. I'm all about heat embossing, you guys. If you get tired of me heat embossing, I am so sorry, but I absolutely love it. That's because I only show you this much space. You guys, let me thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate the company. You guys, we made beautiful background cards that we can use to create some beautiful cards later. So I do thank you for sharing your time with me tonight and helping us all to learn this awesome technique. Alright, so we've embossed. Gonna add a little bit of bling here. This is, let's see, metallic ribbon, Calypso coral. Oh, I absolutely love it. For me, you should use a grid paper for a background on a card. Okay. Yvonne, we'll talk about that a little bit more on Sunday is shoebox, so I might not be on our regular Sunday stamping because I'll be at shoebox. But let's talk about that because I want to understand what you mean a little bit more. Here's a trick that I learned too, you guys. You're welcome. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Is I keep Scotch tape in my my craft room. I have found that for adding ribbon, it works wonders. Oh, this. Huh. And this is precisely why I don't make bows on camera, because I'm horrible at it. So I don't typically make bows on camera. But I do need a bow. I try to pre-do them. I don't do them on camera at all. Unless I'm using a bow maker or something, I just refuse to do them on camera. But this was not a pre-planned card, so we have to go with the flow here. Okay. Trying to get my loops just right because I don't really like big loops. There we go. Perfect. Come on. But we do that this time. Okay. Got our little celebrate you. We've got our bow on. And then my question is, do we want to mat this, you guys? We can mat it with a little bit of copper clay. Or I had originally thought that I would mat with, yes, I'm using a glue dot. This is a little bit of Mango Melody. I think this is cute to offset it. What do you think about Mango Melody? Oh, absolutely, I use glue dots to stick that right there. So I think I like the Mango Melody. What do you think about using the Mango Melody as a matte layer for our card base, our card? I think it works. So I think we cut this at, I think it was 4. We cut this at 5 by 4. So we need this to be 4 1/8 by 5 1/4. That seems about right. Right? 4 1/8 by 5 1/4. Let's try that. Perfect. So we're going to put this at 4 1/8 by 5 1/4. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to clean this craft room. This is a mess. Alright, so then we'll have this as our matte layer, just like this. Oh, I love that combo. Ooh, I love it. Alright, you guys, so when you try, and I'm going to say when you try this technique, go to the event on my Facebook page for today's event, the Emerging Color Technique event, and please share your cards with me. You don't have to make full cards. If all you have time to do is to create your backgrounds and share those with me. And then when you have had time to create your cards, share those as well. But here we go. All right, let me press this in here. Okay, it's got our glue down, and then lastly, our card base. Ooh, and some bling. Yes, because I have to have bling. I'm just going to use a regular white, basic white card base. From the basic white thick cardstock, that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. What are you guys thinking? Alrighty, you guys, we are done with this card. I think next week we are going to work on, I think it was called a split, oh my god, I think it was called a split view design, or fold, I think it's what it's called. But I'll definitely post what our technique is for next week, because I like that one too. And we'll actually make cards next week. Here we go. And there we have our card. Yes. This is definitely in landscape style. I had it portrait just so that I could line. I have challenges making sure that I line things up. So for me, in order to lay this and make sure it aligned properly, I had to make sure I had this edge for me on that side. That's why you may have thought. But this is a portrait style card. Okay? And there we go, you guys. Let me take this out of the way. And here we have our card. So I'm going to make a card with this. This is our other print. I love this one. I love the both. And here is our second. I love these guys, cards, you guys, and I'm so thankful that you were able to join me tonight as we created and learned a new technique to me and to you, and we created our background with the emerging color technique. I hope you guys will join me on Thursday for our Case the Caddy series. And we will be working with the layering leaves bundle and make, oh, that's okay. I'm glad that you're here. There's no such thing as late. I'm glad that you're here, Linda. And I totally get the time difference. So the fact that you're here at all, I am grateful and I am blessed. Thank you so much for being here. On that note, you guys, thank you again for joining me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have not, please sign up to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Sign up for my newsletter. Subscribe to my blog to stay abreast of everything that I'm doing and when I'm going to go live on either one of my social media platforms. You guys, thanks for joining me. This is Caron Bailey, your ATX Independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Have a great evening and happy stamping.